You've got the Cardinal Report. I'm Charlie Edward, joined today by an astronomically successful bunch, the North Central College women's basketball team. But not until we take a look at other happenings in NCC athletics. The success from the Cardinal opener carried over into the Warhawk Classic in Wisconsin Whitewater for the NCC women's track and field team. But this time, number 2 Oshkosh snagged first place with 162 points. A wide margin of victory over second place Wisconsin Whitewater, which finished with 97 points. The North Central women came through in third with 86. And it was announced this week that the NCC men vaulted to number 1 in the national rankings, thanks to stellar pole vaulting from Luke Winder and a strong 4x4 team led by Mustafa Olaoye. And over the weekend, it was the pole vault where the North Central women shined too, as the team secured 4 of the top 6 places in the competition. Liz Composto took the cake with a 12-foot, 1.5-inch clearance. And in the shot put, Ebony Stallworth broke her own record a week after breaking it. A distance of 46 feet, 8 inches put her second on the day. The wrestling team was in Wheaton not long ago for the Pete Wilson Invite. 32 teams from across America were there too. But the Cardinals still found themselves slotted into the top 15, placing 3 of their wrestlers into the top 8 and finishing 12th overall. Leighton Binion, as the number 4 seed, won his third-place match against Craig Mason of Oshkosh by a 4-1 decision. And Blake Olson took a 2-1 decision over Sean Brewer of Alma College for 7th. And Dylan Mahler earned 5th place with a 9-4 decision over Jason Wright of Messiah. The men's basketball team needed a repeat performance too. After beating Wheaton College 75-70 on January 10th, the Thunder stormed into Murner Fieldhouse hoping to redeem themselves from the overtime loss. For a moment, it seemed reclamation was in store, but Erwin Henry had other plans in our highlight.
Before losing 4 of its last 5 games, North Central beat Wheaton College in Wheaton 75-70 in overtime. Kevin Hahn coming off a career-high 21 points versus Milliken. The opposing Thunder come into this game at 9-10 and 2-6 in the CCIW, making this a must-win for NCC. Hahn starts things off by feeding Jack Burchett inside, and Burchett kisses it in off the glass, part of his 8-point night. In a tight game, Jamie Moten chasing down a loose ball ends up hurting his ankle. He'd miss the rest of the game, and someone would have to pick up his slack. That someone would be Erwin Henry. First hitting a jumper and then helping to force the steal and score. Rosenberg finishing the play on a night he had 8 points. And Rosenberg's only assist of the night comes on this 3 by Henry. And here another jumper from Henry's 9-point first half. Now to the second. Evan Fendley with a nice power move on the baseline makes it 44-36, followed by a highlight reel play, the perfect pass from Burchett finished with a reverse layup, and NCC goes up 48-39 on the and one. But the Thunder would return. Joel Smith drops 2 of his game-high 24, and a 3-pointer from Murad Dillard. He was 2 for 2 from beyond the arc, made up for all of his points. And another from Tischer, as well as a nifty 2 to tie the game at 59. Tischer got into some early foul trouble, but still scored 14 total. And Joel Smith knocks down the 3 to put the Thunder ahead by 3 with less than a minute to play. From there, it's Kevin Hahn to the rescue, driving the lane, scoring, and drawing the foul, bringing NCC to within 1. And setting up the play of the game, Jack Burchett, with an improbable pass in crunch time, finds a wide open Erwin Henry for the lead. At the other end, Caleb DeMoss can't knock down the heartbreaker, and North Central win, improving to 15-5 and winning an all-important CCIW matchup. Now 5-4 in conference, Erwin Henry with a career-high 17 points in the win.
With the men hooping through a vexing Wheaton team, the women were unable to do the same. However, they have wrenched out the rest of their competition thus far, and in a moment, we'll be joined by the mastermind behind NCC's imposing scheme, Michelle Roof. Stay with us. This is TCR.
Please have a seat. I'll be honest. Your resume, no one amused you.
I know.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need a hard worker.
Good. I've got 2 part-time jobs and to help my parents pay the bills.
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find, cultivate, and train a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to TCR. Now, she was hired in June of 2010, and since then she's implemented a system born in Grinnell, Iowa, not surprisingly known as the Grinnell System. The woman I'm referring to is North Central women's basketball coach, Michelle Roof. Michelle, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Charlie. Thanks for having us today.
And Michelle, I think in the past, we've talked about the Grinnell System, so we won't go too in-depth about what it is, but what I want to know is when you're out there scouting players, what are the attributes you look for in a player that would fit the system?
Well, a lot of it is pretty similar to what any coach, would really recruit. We're looking for athleticism. We're looking for speed. I think the difference is, we're looking for somebody that can really shoot the ball, obviously, that does well from the three-point line. But we look for players, too, that have kind of the intangibles that make them the toughest, kind of hard-working kid on the basketball court. The style, the pace that they have to play, within our style, they've got to be somebody that's going to give 100%, the whole time they're on the floor offensively and defensively. They've got to be an attacker. So we want somebody that's really aggressive, that can run the floor real well. If they can shoot the ball, that's a positive. But just someone in general, that we know can play and is pretty versatile.
Well, your first 2 years with the system, it wasn't the Grinnell System in the beginning, but you switched over to it by year 3 or 4, I believe.
Yes.
What inspired you to make the switch, and are you happy you made it at this point?
Well, yeah, we're very happy, that we made the switch and made those decisions. We just felt like we needed something to really get the energy going within the basketball program. We wanted to build some enthusiasm and, really make sure that our players were getting better throughout the season and throughout their career here. I felt like we were a little bit stagnant, at that time, coming into year 3. We had a lot of depth, we had a lot of athleticism and speed, and from player 1 to player 15, there wasn't a huge break in talent. So we thought we had kind of all the pieces, coming together. It was just a matter of making a decision to really get out, get aggressive, and really get after it. And I think it was a pretty good decision.
Well, now 18-2, so yeah, definitely a good decision. But was there any point through the 3 years now where you thought, man, maybe this might not work? I mean, it's a crazy system, and now 18-2, it's come together, but it took some faith to keep going with it, didn't it?
It did. We had a great first year and really surpassed any expectations, I think, that, that were set in terms of, what our team could accomplish. So we had a great year the first year, and then last year took a little bit of a step backwards, which was a little disappointing. And there were times, throughout the year and at the end of the year where I said, man, I don't know, is this our future? Is this what we're going to keep doing? And as I just studied it and talked with my assistant coaches, it was just a resounding yes. That we had a setback last year. Chemistry, within the team wasn't where we wanted it to be, and so we knew coming in with this year's personnel, this year's team coming back, that it was going to be a special year.
Well, it's certainly been special. You look back, you have the close games with Elmhurst, Millsaps, there was the Wesleyan game, all these close games, and you somehow find a way to keep pulling them out. What's the ultimate factor, and why this year? How come it seems every time you're in a close game, you find a way to win?
I think probably there's one word to kind of describe that, and that's seniors. Our seniors this year, Maryssa, Bobby, Tess, they've been through it for 4 years. They've been key contributors, for 4 years, and they've seen a lot of ups and downs during that time, and they just have a will, a determination, and just, excellent leadership skills that keeps everybody calm. And now they've built a confidence, in the last few minutes of a game that, we just don't stress about it. They don't stress about it. We all stay calm and just say, do what we do. We know the other team's a lot more tired than we are right now, so just push through and persevere, and they just kind of make it happen. I wish I could tell you it was some, coaching strategy or something like that, but it's not. It's great players making good decisions and just being very confident in what they do and what we do.
And it's been happening all season long. It's been a season that, for the most part, disregarding some fleeting moments of turbulence, has run smoothly, almost perfectly for North Central College. The almost comes as a direct cause of 2 losses, both to Wheaton College. And on this week's Cardinal Corner, the women's basketball team tells us what they learned about themselves through the season's most humbling hours.
On Saturday, January 10th, the North Central women's basketball team hit its first bump in the road, conceding its first game all season to rival Wheaton College. 21 days later, it happened again. only this time matters got worse.
And that'll do it. A lopsided loss for the North Central Cardinals women's basketball team, 109-60 tonight.
You found a team now at Wheaton College. They've beaten you 11 straight times, and even this season, where you've been almost perfect at this point, Wheaton has found a way to take you out of your element.
Honestly, I just think that we need to come in with more confidence against better teams. You know, I think they're the only ranked team, well, they are the only ranked team that we've played yet.
But to play with confidence, being prepared becomes that much more important. Watching the tape and getting a good grasp of what went wrong could make a huge difference with the playoffs looming.
They're number 30. She's gotten, like, I think 12 offensive or 12 rebounds total, I think. So it definitely shows, like, that we need to box out more.
She put up a monster game against the Cardinals in their first meeting. How about 36 points and 21 rebounds?
Boxing out was one thing, which led to fewer opportunities for shots from beyond the arc. On the other hand, Wheaton attempted 33 three-pointers against North Central, more than any other team against NCC's full-court press this season.
I think that they were being more careful than our teams are. A little bit better at ball handling and making better passes.
This led to fewer steals for the Cardinals. 5 pickpockets in the January 31st game versus Wheaton was a season low for North Central.
I think a lot of it is confidence and, like, knowing that we're just as good as them, if not better than them, because there are teams in conference that have beat them that, like, we beat as well.
Every good team has been through something. How they use it moving forward, though, may be the determining factor in the final outcome of this record-breaking year.
So at 18-2 overall, it's been a very successful season, as we mentioned, but you have the 2 losses and both amazingly to the same team. What is Wheaton College doing to get in the way?
Man, you know, Wheaton's just a good team. You know, coming into the season, and even now, I mean, I think they can compete with any of the top 5 teams in the country. You know, they've got depth, they've got talent at every position. You know, they're a tough team that, I don't know, they just play us in a way that, you know, that nobody else has been able to do up to this point. And, you know, the way that the game turned out Saturday, obviously it's not what we have expected or would have hoped for, but, you know, it taught us a lot about ourselves. It you know, really showed us where we need to really step up and make major improvements. You know, you talk about 18-2, and at the beginning of the season, I mean, it's crazy. You know, even you say what we've accomplished this year, and it's like hard to believe. You know, it's hard to believe for me. And so, you know, we just are enjoying it. We're enjoying every moment of it. And games like Saturday are going to happen. It hurts. You know, I mean, we were all so down after the game, but in the whole scheme of things, it's one game, and we know what we need to get better at. And so, you know, we kind of just said, let's not even worry about it. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's just move forward and get back to doing what we do. So that's where we are now.
Moving into the season, were your expectations this high? Were you expecting to do what you're doing right now? No, they weren't. You know, after last year, I think there were just a lot of question marks moving forward into this year. We knew that we had quite a bit of talent in our freshman class. We were really excited about the players that we had coming back, excited about Tess Godhart being eligible this year, excited about Jamie Cuny, who you'll talk to a little bit later. But we knew we kind of had a lot of pieces put together, but you never know how good you're going to be, you know, until the ball gets tipped up and you get halfway through the season and you look back and say, all right, well, where are we? And we looked back and we were undefeated, you know, at that time of the year. So, no, they have surpassed all my expectations, and it's been exciting along the way for sure. Mm-hmm. Well, more with North Central College women's basketball coach Michelle Roof in a moment. This is TCR.
When you earn your GED diploma, the barriers in your life fall. Take the first step and get free GED information in your area at 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or yourged.org. Earn your GED diploma and begin your brighter future.
Back on TCR with women's basketball coach Michelle Roof, and Michelle talked about it offset for a moment. It's hard to implement this system as a coach because you have to manage so much within the game. But when it comes down to it, you know, you lose those 2 games to Wheaton, and then the sports psychology aspect of it comes up. Do you fear, you know, letting the seed of doubt creep into their minds? Is that something you have to manage?
You know, I really don't. One of the things that we've talked about all year long, you know, game after game, is to just focus on being the best that we can be every 40 minutes. And so, you know, I think that our team really bought into that early. We talked after every win this season. You know, one of the things that I ask them before I leave the locker room is, can we be better? And every time they're excited and they say, yes, we can be so much better. So I think what we do is really try to just play and live in the moment and play the best, you know, the toughest, the most aggressive basketball that we can, game by game. And we don't really worry about any of the external factors, the things that we can't control. You know, we can't control the other team, the officials, you know, really anything except playing as hard as we can play and as good as we can play in that moment. And so I think that's helped from a mindset standpoint. Sure, I mean, everybody's disappointed about Saturday, but one of our players brought in a quote one day for practice that talked about, you know, whether it's a win or a loss, you get to either celebrate it or dwell on it for 24 hours and then move on. And so that's what we've done, I think, moving into this week of practice.
I think that's certainly a very important thing you have to do. One thing I'm wondering, though, you watch these games, they're so incredibly intense, the full-court press the entire time, but I'm wondering, during a practice, is a Michelle Roof practice as intense as a game?
I think practice is designed to be as intense as possible in a little bit shorter amount of time than most teams practice, which is kind of nice for the players. We really get after it, and the toughest thing to teach in system basketball is to play all out, what we call full bore, you know, going as hard as you can every second you're on the court. And so we know in practice we have to put them in situations where in order to be successful, they have to go as hard as they can, you know, every possession throughout practice. So it's pretty intense, it's pretty competitive. There's a lot of teaching that goes on, but there's also a lot of basketball. You know, it's a lot of fun in practice, just like it is in games.
Jamie Cuny, you mentioned it for us a little bit earlier. She will be on later, but right now still talking to you. So I want to know from you, is it, you know, all these block totals, she's breaking the record this year for the school. Is that, you know, part of buying into the system?
I mean, I think Jamie Cuny was made for system basketball. You know, a 6'1", 6'2" player that can shoot the outside shot, shoot the ball as well as she does, that can attack the rim, but most importantly, that can, you know, be the lone player at the back of the press with 2 to 3 players coming at her in a 2-on-1, 3-on-1 situation. I mean, it's just so tough for opponents to score over her that it gives us, you know, some freedom to really get out and be as aggressive as we want to for the first 80 feet, and we know she's going to take care of the last 10 feet. So, yeah, I mean, what she's brought to this team this year has totally changed our defense, really.
And they make the one pass, and someone takes a 3 every single time. And it's amazing to me because obviously the psychology of it, you must tell your players, don't worry about shot selection, right? Is that a big thing for you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we always tell them the best shooters are the shooters that don't even know they're a good shooter. You know, we want our players to just shoot the ball, you know, hundreds and hundreds of times throughout their career. So we just tell them, don't sweat it, you know, don't stress it if you miss 1 or 2. Nobody's counting, nobody's watching. Just be ready to go on to the next play and shoot it again.
And in that Wheaton game, hate to bring it up again, but in that Wheaton game, I don't know, looking at the stats, it seemed like maybe, you know, volume shooting in this system is a big deal.
Yes.
And because you might not have been getting the steals in that game that you typically do, you didn't get as many 3s to go. Was that kind of why maybe you didn't sink as many as usual?
Yeah, you know, we just didn't take enough shots. You know, we try to force shots by forcing the team to turn it over against our press. But the other big aspect that a lot of people don't know about our system is probably the #1 determining factor is offensive rebounds. And we just didn't come anywhere near our offensive rebounding average in that game that it has been all year long. So we just need to be more aggressive on the glass. So if we're not making shots, we're at least getting offensive rebounds to get it out to make sure we get enough of a volume of shots.
Well, aside from that game, it's been almost complete and utter perfection. Through those 18 wins, though, if you can look back at them all, You know, maybe which team can you really pinpoint that might have been the toughest team you faced not named Wheaton College?
Elmhurst is a tough game. It's a tough matchup for us for a lot of reasons, you know. I think Elmhurst has developed into a really big, you know, competitive rivalry. And to be honest, with Tess Gotthard playing in red and black, you know, instead of the blue of Elmhurst, you know, it's caused a little bit of, you know, tension, I guess, between us. You know, Jenny Swanson, who played here, her sister is one of the better players for Elmhurst. So there's a lot of closeness between the two programs, and I would say that from our players and from our coaching staff and from theirs, that's probably one of the bigger games that we face.
Well, Michelle, I've been watching your games all season, and it's really nice to have finally gotten to speak with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Well, on the other end of this break, we welcome in forward Jamie Cuny and guard Maryssa Cladis next on the Cardinal Report.
So they say it's a man's world? Well, I don't see anybody's name on it. While they were out doing their thing, we slowly changed all that. We changed all that. Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Back here on TCR, and sitting with us now is the record holder for blocks in a season at North Central, Jamie Cuny, as well as guard Maryssa Cladis. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Jamie, we'll start with you. I think it's pertinent we get to this talking point. You broke the school record for blocks in a season. What's it like knowing your name is in the record books?
It's pretty cool. Never thought that would happen, honestly, but it's definitely an honor to be recognized like that with other great players. But, you know, definitely not my focus at all. It's great to be recognized for that, but it's all about, you know, the team and our goals as a team. So,
do you think that full court press, constant pressure, you know, think that's helped you defensively? Do you think maybe all the blocks are coming from, you know, partially not just your talent, but buying into the system?
Yeah, definitely. Just the way that the system is set up, you know, I'm at the back of the press, a lot of 2-on-1 situations, you know, under the basket by myself. So it definitely helps me able to get those blocks. So,
Maryssa, you were on the team before the system was implemented. What was the difference for you? What's it like transitioning? Was that a difficult transition?
It was hard at first just because you go from playing basketball for 12 years of your life and you have these habits that you form that are regular basketball. And then going to the system, you have to break a lot of those habits. But I think overall, like, I love playing the system. I never want to go back to regular basketball just because, I mean, it's so much more exciting and you actually have a lot of freedom with the system that a lot of players wouldn't get at playing regular basketball at any other school. So I actually like it.
Yeah, I played hockey for a little bit, and I know in hockey there's line changes. You guys in basketball, it's crazy, but now you're used to line changes. You know you're going to go out there. You know you're going to play 45 seconds, a minute, maybe a little longer, but it's shorter than typical shift. Does that help you kind of feel like you can go out there and give it your all for that short time?
I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, we go in not thinking that we're going to play for that short of time. We just go in like, this is our time that we have to play. We give it our all, and then hopefully by the end of this shift, I'll be gasping for air and I want to sub just because I gave it that all that I have. So.
Well, you go from a team that won one conference game to now you're 18-2 this season, completely dominating. So I think it's safe to say the system's worked out, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was hard my freshman year, like transitioning in general and getting only that one conference win, but I think, like Coach Roof said earlier, we just have this chemistry about the team, and I think that's what really powers us through when we're playing. Like, we know where each other is going to be, we know that we have each other's backs, and that trust is really what helps us.
Well, Jamie, you're only a sophomore, which is amazing because you're putting up these numbers and still a very young player, and it's only your first year in the system. Can we expect more from you as you kind of go on, you get older, you become a veteran player, and you have more experience in the system?
Yeah, I would think so. I hope so. Getting used to the system is definitely can be tough. It's a big adjustment, but as I get more experience and more opportunities, especially in the back of the press, I get more used to. I know what's going to come. It's easy to predict things and kind of anticipate. So I think, improvements are definitely going to happen, even individually and as a team. So.
Well, as a Naperville Central graduate, you were pretty close to the college. Was there any appeal to you for the Grinnell system? Did you ever know they played it before you got recruited?
I did not know. I was not here last year. I was in school in Springfield. And with it being so close to home, I wanted to come closer to home. And the school appealed to me first, and then the system never really thought anything of it. And I wasn't necessarily excited to hear about it, but it was different. It's a hard thing playing basketball your whole life one way, and then it's completely different. You change everything. You kind of have to abandon everything you've learned growing up. So it was a little intimidating. I was a little bit unsure of it, but now that I'm playing in it, I can't imagine playing regular basketball anymore. So.
Well, Maryssa, since you have all the experience, we'll start with you on this question. What do you think is the one factor that's made this team so successful as opposed to the other teams that played in the system?
I think it comes back to our chemistry, and I think every person on this team gives it 100%. I think they know that we have a goal that we're looking for, and I think coming along with myself as a senior and our other seniors, we had one of our really good players, Lauren Hernandez. She tore ACL, and she was coming back this year and unfortunately retore it. And I think that even pushed everyone even more, because we know that we're not just playing for us, but we're playing for her now. And we need to do the best that we can to reach the goals, not only for everyone, but for her.
Jamie, similar thoughts?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with all of that. And everyone just plays for each other, and everyone's bought into what we're trying to do. And we all support each other, and it also goes back to the leadership. The seniors are incredible. I know they've been through a lot in the past few years, so they've seen a lot of ups and downs, as Coach Roof said, and they know how to, keep everyone up, and everyone kind of looks to them, but everyone also holds each other accountable and know that we're playing for each other, so that definitely plays into it. And we're just a big family, and we all love each other, so it's awesome, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, well, there was only one downside of the season. I mentioned it with Coach Roof. It was the Wheaton games. Both of them tough losses, but in those losses, maybe you took something out of it that you can feel might help you moving forward. In brief, we'll start with you, Maryssa. What do you think, taking from that game, what do you think you can take to help you in the future?
I just think it shows us that we can be better. Coach tells us every single day, be the best that we can be. And it just shows we have accomplished so much so far, and that's great, but we still have room to grow. And I think Wheaton definitely shows us the little things that we can still focus on and work on, and it'll just plow us through with the rest of the season.
Jamie, briefly, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it kind of drives us too. It's always tough to lose, and especially to them, big games, but I think it does show us, things that we can work on and that we can be a lot better, and we're not the team that we showed we were. We're a lot better than that, and we're made of a lot more. So I think it just drives us and motivates us more.
All right, guys, well, the big tournament coming up. Good luck to you in that, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
The women's basketball team gets set for a home matchup against Augustana on Wednesday, a game you can see right here on NCTV. And if you can't watch the game, follow at NCTV17 on Twitter for scoring updates and more, or log on to NorthCentralCardinals.com. That's it for today's episode. Be sure to join us next week on the Cardinal Report.